When I was a college student, I was traveling on a round-the-world trip, and I had a habit of asking one child per country, what do you want most in the world? And I expected to hear these big, lofty answers like a house or a car or a boat. And I met this boy who was begging on the streets of India, and he had nothing. I asked him if he could have anything in the world, what he would want. And his answer was a pencil. And I realized that this young boy had not only never been to school, but that was actually the situation for millions of other children around the world. And when I gave him my pencil, he just lit up, and he held it in the air, and he looked at it like it was this gleaming diamond. And that became my thing. I started passing out pens and pencils as I would travel through the developing world, and that led to countless conversations about not only the value of education, but the many, many children who didn't have a school to go to. I grew up wanting to work in finance. My whole life, I grew up outside of New York City, and was crafting a path to go work on Wall Street. And when I was 21, I had this incredibly transformative experience with this boy on the street. I really started to change the way that I looked at my life and how I could be of service to others. As my life was moving more and more forward, I thought I would be so happy with all of these material possessions that I was amassing. And in fact, I really felt pretty empty. And so I decided that I would start an organization called Pencils of Promise. And I began by going to a bank and putting $25 in a bank account for my 25th birthday. And I tried to build one school and dedicate it to my 80-year-old grandmother, who's the heart and soul of my family. And what I found was that there are many other people who were looking for an organization like this to call their own. And so we started to grow it really, really quickly, beginning with a lot of small acts. And those small acts compounded and grew and grew and grew, and created a really big difference in a lot of lives, as we've now built hundreds of schools around the world for children without access to education. The organizing principle of the book is a collection of mantras. And so throughout my life, I've always had these short, quick phrases that I could write down somewhere or refer back to whenever I was facing a big decision. And so each of the chapters of the book is titled with one of these mantras. When I say small acts inspire big change, what I'm referring to is the opportunity that every single individual, no matter your age, your status, your location, you have the opportunity to create a massive change in the life of others.
Nelson Mandela once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world." Education not only gives the people the means to a better life, but also something more profound, the ability to grow and learn through one's own experiences. The strength of a nation can often be determined by the education of its people. India, with nearly 1/6 of the world's population, is a booming economy, poised to take over as one of the world's superpowers. Yet, this glittering fact goes hand in hand with the harsh truth of abject poverty, facing nearly half of the nation's people. With 42% of the country's population living below the international poverty line, the nation is struggling to keep up with many of the rapidly growing countries in the world. So what can be done? Educating the nation's children is the only answer. 7rupees is an organization inspired by Adam Braun's development, Pencils of Promise. Restoring village schools to improve quality and the standard of education available in India to the economically weak people is the main motive of this non-profit organization.